She was Hollywood's dream made flesh. The platinum blonde bombshell whose face sold fantasies and whose name lit up marquees like a promise. Lana Turner had it all: fame, beauty, adoration. But none of it could save her from what was waiting behind her own front door. On a spring night in 1958, blood stained the tiles of her Beverly Hills home. A gangster lay dying, a knife in his chest. Her 14-year-old daughter stood over the body, shaking, silent. The tabloids screamed murder, but the truth was messier than any movie script. Was it self-defense or premeditated protection? Was Lana a desperate mother, or something far more calculated? In a town built on illusion, Lana Turner lived at the crossroads of desire and destruction, and the line between her public smile and private hell was written in lipstick and lies. This isn't just about scandal. It's about how Hollywood creates goddesses, and then watches them burn. This is the untold story of Lana Turner. She entered the frame like a secret whispered across a darkened theater, seductive, untouchable, already legend. Born Julia Jean Mildred Frances Turner in 1921, she would become known to the world simply as Lana Turner, the name itself a kind of cinematic spell. To the public, she wasn't just an actress. She was a myth in motion. And myths, unlike stars, aren't allowed to fall. Her rise began with a story so Hollywood it sounds apocryphal, discovered at a soda fountain on Sunset Boulevard. A teenage girl with platinum curls and curves that defied age, sipping Coke in a tight sweater, the birth of the sweater girl, a label that would cling to her like perfume and expectation for the rest of her life. By the time she turned 17, she was under contract with MGM, and the machinery of fame had already begun to sculpt her. On screen, Lana Turner radiated. Her voice, low and velvety, poured like honey over dialogue that was often less important than her presence. She played good girls and dangerous women with equal conviction. Her breakout came in They Won't Forget, 1937, but it was roles in Ziegfeld Girl, Johnny Eager, and The Postman Always Rings Twice that etched her into the marble of Hollywood's pantheon. To the press, she was the goddess of glamour, the queen of the lot, a walking fantasy with a closet of furs, a carousel of lovers, and a life that dripped luxury. Her face, perfectly symmetrical, with piercing eyes and lips that curled like secrets, was plastered across movie posters, billboards, and tabloids. In a post-war America hungry for beauty and distraction, Lana Turner was both feast and fire. But more than her films, it was her persona that fascinated the public. She dated men with power and danger, bandleaders, actors, playboys, and, later, a man with ties to the mob. Every romance was a headline. Every heartbreak, a scandal. Yet no matter how chaotic her private life became, she appeared before the cameras polished, poised, devastating. MGM transformed her into something elemental, not just a woman, but a dream. Her image was curated down to the slightest detail, her hair always immaculate, her waist cinched, her heels high. Even her voice in interviews was rehearsed in a cadence just slow enough to suggest mystery. She was a chameleon of class and seduction. In Peyton Place, 1957, she played a repressed mother, a role that mirrored the tensions boiling beneath her surface. The performance earned her an Oscar nomination, but even that moment was overshadowed by the whirlwind of her real life. Fans sent her letters by the thousands. Studio executives guarded her like crown jewels. Paparazzi chased her not for what she did, but for who they imagined she might be when no one was watching. To America, Lana Turner was the perfect woman, flawless, unshakable, luminous. But perfection is a burden, and Lana
Actress
carried
she
it like
hates
a crucifix
most dated in
beneath a mink
secret with
coat.
her Lana Turner was
Because
born
what no
Julie.
one asked
She
then,
emerged
and
from
what
humble
haunts us
beginnings
now,
to become one of
is
the most enduring and
what happens to a woman who's never allowed to stop performing. Before the silk gowns
iconic
and studio
stars of
lights,
Hollywood's
before
golden
the
age.
perfume ads and scandalous
Her journey
affairs,
from a small
Lana Turner was just a little girl named Julia, running barefoot on cracked sidewalks in a world where
history.
beauty couldn't buy you
With her
warmth.
signature platinum
She was
blonde
born in
hair,
Wallace,
seductive
Idaho,
beauty.
a mining town coated in soot and hardship. Her father, a gambler with charm and demons,
and magnetic
worked
screen
sporadically
presence,
as a minor
Turner
and
became the
struggled to provide.
embodiment of Hollywood glamour.
Her mother, Mildred, was a teenager herself when she gave birth, barely equipped for the cruel
Turner's
machinery
discovery
of
has
motherhood.
become the stuff of legend.
But Lana's childhood
At
wasn't
just
just
16
poor,
years old,
it was
won't
shattered.
forget, in which her
When she
brief
was
but
just
unforgettable
9,
appearance
her father was
wearing a
murdered in
tight
cold blood. He had won a poker game and bragged too loud, flashing the winnings
as
in the open
sensational
air.
and headline-grabbing
He never made
as
it
her
home.
film career.
They found his body in an alley, his pockets empty, his life snuffed out like a cigarette under boot.
Her romantic entanglements
Lana,
and
the trauma
turbulent
was
love
instant
life
and
mirrored
permanent.
the dramatic
Trust
roll-round.
no man, beauty attracts
The line
danger, and
encapsulated
survival
her wry
requires
humor,
reinvention.
and a man widely known for his
After the
connections
murder,
to
her mother
organized
fled with
crime.
her to Southern California, hoping sunshine might erase the darkness. But Los Angeles was
Who's
no
who
city
of
of
mid-20th
angels.
century celebrity
It
and
was
high
indifferent,
society.
sprawling, and cruel to single mothers with no skills and children with too many questions. They
And
moved from
temperamental
boarding house to
man
boarding house,
was known for being
scraping by
difficult
on her
and
mother's
demanding,
wages as a
and they're
hairdresser
married
and
in
sometimes
1942,
seamstress.
but the marriage was
Lana
annulled
learned
in
early that hunger makes you
1943. A
clever.
second attempt at matrimony
And pretty
proved
makes
no
you
more
noticed,
successful
even
than
when
the
you're too
first,
young to
and
understand
Bob
what that
Topping
means.
was a wealthy
At
socialite
Catholic school,
and brother of New
she was
York
quiet,
Yankees owner.
reserved.
They divorced in
But even in a
1952,
shapeless uniform,
after 4
her
years
beauty
of
hummed like
1957,
electricity.
and though she did not
None
speak
scolded her
publicly
for
about the
distracting
abuse at the
boys.
time, her
Teachers said
Turner's
she looked
fifth
older than
marriage
she
was
should.
to Fred May, a
And
successful
Lana,
rancher and
already fluent
businessman,
in
as
silence,
Turner remained
learned that
deeply
control
tied
was
to
her
the
best
entertainment
weapon.
industry,
There
while
are
May
whispers
preferred
that
a
she
once
was
again
abused.
found herself
By
disillusioned
whom,
with love.
no one can
Her
say.
final and most ceremony
But the
that
absence
followed
of
added
certain
yet another
truths is
layer of
often
drama
more
to
telling
her
than their
personal
presence.
saga.
In later interviews, when asked about her childhood, she would smile, tight
With
and
several of her
practiced,
female
and
contemporaries,
say, I suppose I had a normal
actresses,
life.
she later claimed to
Nothing fancy. Then she'd cross her legs and change the subject.
she
But the
had
cracks were
secretly
there,
dated,
if you knew
and
how to
now
look.
could no longer stand.
The perfection of her
Each-
image wasn't vanity, it was armor. Behind the red lipstick and curled lashes
To her
was a
famously
girl
guarded
who had once
private
been hungry,
life.
terrified,
She taught me how to
fatherless,
lie
and
with my
lost. And yet, it wasn't just trauma that shaped her.
to be
It was
briefly
rejection.
included in this circle.
Being poor
Until
in Hollywood
Garbo's
was one thing. But being poor and beautiful, that made her dangerous.
With her
Mothers watched
European
her around their
sophistication
sons.
and androgynous allure,
Men lingered too long.
through the golden age of
And
MGM
Lana,
in the
still barely
1940s
a
and
teenager,
1950s
realized
years.
that attention could be
Smoking,
currency.
in particular, became
If they were going
deeply
to look at her
intertwined
anyway,
with, were
she might
instructed
as
to
well decide
airbrush
how.
out cigarettes from
When she was
publicity photos
discovered
and
at
film
that soda
well-being.
fountain, a
She
story
made the
MGM
significant
would market
decision to
like
stop
gospel.
drinking
What
altogether.
no
Daily
one
life,
said was this:
an emotional
Lana had already
crutch,
spent
and a
years preparing to
behavioral
be seen.
routine that was initially
The sweater,
accompanied
the
by a
lipstick,
glimmer
the
of hope.
posture, none
In
of
a
it was
press
an
release
accident.
issued to reassure
It was strategy. A girl with no safety net had turned herself into a net worth.
in the
Her name
early
was
stages of
changed.
treatment, she underwent
voice was
exploratory
softened. Her past, erased. In studio bios, they said she was born to glamour, raised in elegance. But the truth?
toll of the
She was
treatments.
born in grief,
Turner remained
raised in
publicly
shadows,
optimistic.
and sculpted in hunger.
In early and for her daughter
And
Cheryl
even
Crane,
at the height of her
who had been
fame,
a steadfast
when reporters asked if
companion
she
and
missed anything
Lifetime
about her
Achievement
childhood,
Award,
she would pause for a
recognizing her
moment too
decades
long,
of
then
contribution
whisper,
to cinema.
I miss
Just
not
9
knowing
months
how
after
dangerous
that
the world
appearance,
could
on
be.
June 29,
He was charming, dangerous, and tied to the criminal underworld through gangster Mickey Cohen. At first, Lana thought she could control him, like she'd learned to control every other man, every other storyline. But Johnny was different. He was possessive, violent, and volatile. And still, she stayed. Because in her world, leaving wasn't always an option. Especially when the cameras were always rolling. The studio wanted none of it. A mobster boyfriend threatened the illusion. MGM tried to keep it quiet. But Lana, the master illusionist, couldn't fake safety. The deeper she sank into that relationship, the clearer it became.
Elle allait au lycée
The
de
myth she had
Hollywood.
built was
Et
becoming
comme
a
elle n'était pas
prison.
très douée, elle
And
s'ennuyait
when the
beaucoup.
breaking point finally came, when blood hit the floor of her Beverly Hills home, the carefully
Comptoir,
constructed Lana Turner would never be the
charmante et
same
sublime,
again. In
Et c'est
truth,
comme ça que
she was never just an actress. She was an
sa
act,
vie à l'écran et sa vraie vie ont...
a performance so
propre du grand
complete,
cinéma
so
romanesque
seamless,
américain.
that even she sometimes forgot where the role
L'émission a
ended
eu
and the
un
woman
véritable
began.
impact, et c'est à partir
Lana
de là
Turner
qu'on l'a
didn't
surnommée
rise.
la sweater.
La
She
Warner
was
s'intéressait
constructed,
surtout aux
piece
stars
by
masculines.
flawless piece, by
Leurs stars
studios,
féminines et trop
by
avaient tout
men,
fait pour
by
obtenir.
ambition, by fear. When MGM took her under its wing, they didn't just give her roles, they gave her rules.
Sur les écrans suscite des
Her
commentaires
name,
élogieux.
Julia Jean
Elle n'en reste
Mildred
pas moins une starlette
Francis,
débutante
was
parmi
deemed
tant
too
d'autres.
long, too
Sans savoir qu'elle
old-fashioned,
deviendrait
too
vraiment une
ordinary.
star.
So they carved out
Encore
something
moins une
new,
légende.
Lana Turner. 2 syllables. Sharp. Exotic. Marketable. The studio redid her teeth, softened her voice, bleached her hair until it glowed like a halo under Klieg lights. Every freckle was concealed. Every photograph airbrushed. Her mannerisms were rehearsed. Her walk, trained.
Après avoir écrasé
Even
les
her
dernières larmes
signature
d'un
was
premier chagrin
stylized,
d'amour,
a loopy
Lana fait la...
bell designed to look effortless but took weeks to perfect. Hollywood didn't want
plus belle
Lana
femme
to
du
be
cinéma,
real.
en maîtresse de maison
It
accomplie.
wanted her to be a
Mais ni Betty
mirage,
Grable,
one step
ni Lana
ahead of truth.
Lana demande le
Behind
divorce
the
au bout de 4
scenes,
mois
the
et revient au
process was
studio pour son
brutal.
premier.
She was assigned a personal coach to teach her how to sound less working class. Her diet was monitored. Her
À la fin du
friendships
film,
filtered. Her boyfriends, sometimes chosen by publicity agents. The illusion had to be perfect, and there was no room for rebellion, only the appearance of spontaneity. But Lana, beneath the lacquered exterior, was still that hungry girl from Idaho, except now she was playing a game with higher stakes. She understood how power worked in Hollywood. It didn't belong to actresses. It belonged to studios. And to survive, she had to give the world a version of herself they could consume, even if it meant devouring what was left of the
Endeuillée par
real
la mort
woman
prématurée de la
underneath.
partenaire attitrée de Clark
She
Gable,
cultivated her
la platine
legend like a
Gilarlo.
master strategist. She played into the sweater girl image, knowing that allure made
Mais rien de très
headlines.
sérieux.
But she also resisted becoming just
Et
another
elle a
pin-up.
rencontré mon ils ont dû
She
annuler leur
demanded
mariage.
stronger roles. She chose projects
là,
like The Postman
et puis
always
la guerre
rings
a
twice
éclaté.
not just for the fame, but for the control it gave her over her narrative, a femme
Elle
fatale
participera à
who knew what she
entretenir le moral des
wanted,
troupes.
and how to get it. Yet the more she mastered her image, the less she belonged to
Il
herself.
suffit de voir les
Lana's
films
romantic life became part of her brand, 8 marriages, countless lovers, and always
chez
the
quelquefois
press
toute
just a
jeune.
few feet
Elle
behind.
exprime, elle dégage
Some men
une
loved her
impression
image
de
more than her soul. Others sought to
Après
break her
plusieurs
down,
fausses couches liées à
just
un
to say
problème
they
sanguin,
had.
et
Qui est
She was
présentée comme
linked
une
to band
poupée.
leaders, actors, millionaires,
Mais ça-
and eventually, a man whose name would stain hers forever, Johnny Stompanato.
home that much.
Blood soaked the carpet. Sirens screamed down the
plus que
Hollywood
très peu de la
hills.
petite Cheryl.
Photographers camped
À peine
outside
un an
the
après leur
house before
mariage,
the ambulance even arrived.
Tout simplement
The
parce que sa fille
newspapers had
faisait
a
partie
field day.
d'elle. En eux.
Gangster stabbed in Turner home.
I didn't
Starlet's
learn
daughter kills lover. Lana's private nightmare became national theater. The inquest was swift. Cheryl was declared to have acted in justifiable homicide. No charges were filed. But the damage was done, not to her legal standing, but to the pristine illusion MGM had worked so hard to build. The public was divided. Some saw Lana as a tragic heroine, a mother caught in the storm. Others called her manipulative, questioned the timeline, whispered that perhaps it hadn't been Cheryl at all. That Lana, in a desperate act of self-defense, had wielded the knife, and used her daughter to shield herself from ruin. Lana never responded to the rumors. She appeared in court with sunglasses and pearls, a mourning actress in her own tragedy. Her face, always flawless, was unreadable. When asked by reporters if she regretted anything, she simply replied, "Only everything." After that, nothing was the same. Studios became hesitant.
Et
Roles
qu'elle
dried
pensait
up.
que le noir et blanc était très
She
important.
worked, occasionally,
Elle
but the
portait du blanc
sparkle
tout le
had
long.
dimmed. Audiences couldn't unsee the crime scene. Hollywood, ever hungry for purity in its sirens, quietly moved on. She had reached the top, but the fall was inevitable. The red carpet still unrolled. The cameras still clicked. But behind the curtain, pills replaced champagne, and loneliness filled the silence fame left behind.
Qui se déclenchera au premier
Because in
regard lancé par
Hollywood,
Tyrone
the brightest
Power,
lights
le
cast
jeune
the
premier
darkest
incontesté de la
shadows. And Lana Turner,
Je ne crois pas
goddess of
qu'elle
the
ait
golden
éprouvé
age,
pour aucun
had
de ces
lived too
petits
long in both.
Quand les studios
At
ont
her
envoyé
peak, Lana Turner
Tyrone
was
tourner en
untouchable.
Europe,
The
c'était une
camera
méchante
loved
pour
her,
rire.
obsessively,
Ils se sont tous
hungrily.
bien amusés à faire ce
On
film.
screen, she burned. Off screen, she
La voiture
captivated.
était en suspens secouée de
Movie
tous les
after
côtés,
movie, she
donnant
delivered
l'illusion
elegance
qu'elle allait
laced with
s'écraser.
danger. She could cry on cue, flirt with a glance, destroy a man with a single line of dialogue. And for a time, that was enough. The 1950s solidified her status as one of Hollywood's reigning queens. The Bad and the Beautiful, Imitation of Life, and Peyton Place, all box office smashes, all vehicles for the Lana Turner myth. In Peyton Place, she played a single mother
Après
hiding
son divorce avec
secrets beneath
Topping,
suburban
Lana tombe
perfection.
amoureuse du musculeux Lex Barker.
The performance earned her first and only Academy Award nomination, a validation she had long been denied. Audiences adored her. Women wanted to be
de
her.
Tarzan.
Men wanted to own her. And the studio, still
Ils sont
carefully
rentrés en
managing her
disant,
image,
"On est
basked in
mariés."
the profits. Her name alone could
Mais elle
greenlight a
avait l'air
film.
d'être heureuse.
Magazine covers, perfume ads, fashion lines, she was everywhere. Immortal, it seemed. But behind the shimmering veil, Lana Turner was unraveling. She was exhausted. The pressure to remain
Ces choses ont
perfect,
un nom,
youthful, desirable,
celui de l'inceste,
profitable,
que
was
l'ex en
relentless.
1957.
She was nearing 40, and in Hollywood's
s'étonner du
brutal
peu de
arithmetic,
contexte.
that made her
Venir sur le
disposable.
plateau tous les jours,
Studios
se concentrer
quietly moved younger
totalement.
faces into her lane. The roles thinned. The offers slowed.
jouer son
And then
personnage,
came Johnny
tout ça au
Stompanato.
prix de 13 ou 14
They met
semaines
in
d'intra.
1957.
Et quand ma mère a tourné
He was
Peyton
handsome,
Place,
magnetic, a former bodyguard for Mickey Cohen. At first, Lana mistook his control for passion. But soon, the red flags bled through, jealous rages, threats, surveillance. He hit her. He followed her to sets. He made scenes in public. Friends begged her to leave. But leaving Johnny wasn't like leaving a studio contract, it came with real danger. And still, she stayed. She was raised to endure. Raised to survive. And somewhere deep inside, a voice kept whispering, "You can fix this. You've fixed worse."
notre relation a
But no
commencé à
performance
changer.
could fix what happened on April
Elle ne
4,
pouvait plus me contrôler
La vie
1958.
de Cheryl va bientôt basculer dans l'horreur.
That night, Lana's daughter,
Lana vit une relation
Cheryl,
trouble et
then
dangereuse.
just 14, was at home. So was Johnny.
Fou de
There was a
jalousie,
fight.
frappe à de nombreuses reprises
Screaming.
Lana, qui tente de mettre fin à
Crashing
cette relation
furniture.
toxique.
Lana crying. Johnny threatening.
Dans la
Cheryl,
cuisine,
panicked,
et il prend la
ran to
première
the
chose qui
kitchen,
lui tombe sous la
grabbed the
main,
knife,
un long couteau
and,
effilé.
as she would later say, tried to protect my mother. One stab. Straight to the chest. Johnny collapsed.
Le lendemain,
She didn't
l'aide a été
vanish.
requise par le procureur.
After the murder,
Pour
the
déterminer
trial,
s'il y
the
avait-
public dissection of her motherhood, Lana Turner kept going, because that's what survivors do.
C'était elle qui avait assassiné
She returned to
Stompanato
film,
et que
though never
sa fille
again
avait
at the same
accepté
altitude.
d'endosser cette responsabilité. Une fois
The
de plus,
offers
on
were
ne fait pas la
smaller,
différence
the budgets tighter,
entre,
but she still commanded the screen.
Dans la vie
Her
comme au
beauty
cinéma,
faded
les drames
only on
parfois
paper.
connaissent un happy end.
In presence, she remained haunting. But something in her had shifted.
Bien.
She no longer played the
J'ai
seductress.
réalisé que je n'étais pas la
She
seule dans
played
cette
women with
histoire,
history in
croyée
their eyes,
abandonnée.
widows, mothers, survivors. Characters who had bled a little. Her performances became more nuanced, more painful, more human. She tried love again. Married and divorced, again. Drifted through interviews with a smile, but rarely depth. In 1982, she published her autobiography, Lana, the Lady, the Legend, the Truth. For the first time, she told her version. She spoke of pain. Of men. Of image. Of loss. Of love that never lasted. Of a daughter she tried to protect. The book was a bestseller. By the time she died in 1995, at 74, the world had changed. Hollywood had changed. But Lana remained, not as a cautionary tale, not as a scandal, but as a woman who lived through hell and heels and still looked the world in the eye. She didn't become a footnote. She became a shadow behind every bright new starlet. A whispered warning in satin. And maybe that's the most honest fame of all.